And those 9 dots, if you hover over that, there's a place where you can do Q&A and you can ask questions. So you can raise your hand and ask a question, or you can do it here and we'll try to answer all the questions that we can. So tonight I'm going to kind of walk you through what we're going to be covering tonight. Now make sure my screen is going to work, which of course it's not. There we go. My name's Angela Alden. I'm actually the business ops manager for MDGA. I kind of make sure that all the teams are talking to each other and that the board has all the information they need. So you've got my email there, and April, who is on the call, she's our lead registrar, and her email's on there. She has a team of 3 other people that work with her, making sure registrations happen. But when it comes down to it, April's the one that makes the final decision, and she approves your registration certificates to go out. She's the most knowledgeable person about registration. So her email's there. Feel free to reach out to her by email. She gets a lot of emails. She gets a lot of phone calls. So if you don't hear back like right away, like within a day, don't think she's ignoring you. It's just we're also in the heaviest part of our year when we're doing registration. So, and then tonight I'm going to be pointing you to some points on our website to get information. That is the website there. A lot of what we're going to cover, I'm going to show you can find on the website. So this will also be available with the video separately after the call. So the first thing we're going to cover tonight is some membership related things, and that includes your herd name and tattoo, why you need one, what your tattoo requirements are, can you or can you not use a microchip, and how to tattoo. So first, when we're talking about this, this is our website. This is our homepage of our website. Super easy to navigate. If it's a membership question, you're going to find it under this little drop down. Registration, we're going to be hitting some of those points tonight. We have other programs like milk testing. We have Davis, which is genetic testing. We have artificial insemination group. We have shows, which are live and virtual shows. So if you're not anywhere near a live show, you have the option of entering your goats into our virtual show that happens twice a year. The information about our team is on here, including our board of directors, the staff, all of our volunteers that are in key places. And then news and resources has our newsletters, list our forms, and there's a calculator on there. I do want to specifically call out a couple things real quick before we start going through other things. Here at the top, you'll see forms at the very top of the screen. And if you click on that, you'll find just about every form that we use inside of our system is there. The PDF forms are there. There are also all of our online link forms where you can do something online without having to fill out a piece of paper and mail it in. Some things have to be mailed in, but most things can be at least initiated online. And so I always reference this to people. You can find a lot of what you're looking for right here on this particular page. We also have a member classified. They're running some specials with that right now, where if you'd like to list your goats for sale, or you want to look for a goat for sale, it's a special price for our members to be able to list their goats there or list their farms there and try to make connections. And we also have some merchandise that you can buy that has the MDGA logos on it. We're going to go back to membership since we were talking about herd names and tattoos, and I want to start with that. When you start your farm, a lot of people name their farm. So I might name my farm Alden House Farm. But you also have to have a herd name. And the herd name basically is the first part of your goat's name. So I might call my herd name also Alden House, or I might choose to call it Backyard Goats. my herd name Backyard Goats. And so when I'm naming my goat, the first part of its name is going to be Backyard Joe, Backyard Daisy, Backyard Buttercup. That's just, that designation stays with you. Nobody else can use that herd name. And again, it can be your farm name, but if you're going to have a herd name, if you're going to breed and you're going to breed to sell, you need to select a herd name. You also will need to select a tattoo, and it's also something that can't be like somebody else has got. So if April's tattoo is ALG for April Linhart Goats, I can't use ALG. That is permanently and forever assigned to her. So when we're doing those things, we're always checking and double checking to make sure we're not duplicating something that's already in the system that someone else may be using. Why do we do this? We are kind of chartered under the USDA APHIS program. And with them, we're telling them that we're recording these goats, we're recording their tattoos, and we're keeping a record of what goats are born on what physical properties throughout the United States. That's part of our charter with them. So you can join MDGA and not have picked a herd name or tattoo, but if you're going to breed a goat on your property or have a goat born on your property, you're going to need those things. If you have not done that, when you originally got your membership, there's a little link right here on the membership page for herd name and tattoo, where you go in and you pay the fee for that, and you give them a list of 3 different options on herd name or 3 different options on tattoo, and we'll try to accommodate it as closely as we can to what you want it to be. And we particularly try to do that if you've already got an ADGA herd name or tattoo. We'll try to do the best we can. We can't guarantee that, but we do make a serious effort for that. So the next question we get a lot is, can I microchip? I don't want to tattoo my goats. Or how do I tattoo my goats? If you go over to the registration page, you'll see right here, there's a link that says Tattoo EID Policy. And that article talks about why we have to tattoo our goats and why we have to have a tattoo assigned to a goat. April can assign a tattoo to her goat, and then she can still opt to do a microchip. And we record those microchips for you. It's important for you to remember that the microchip has to start with 840. There are companies, and I'll show you real quick, like Microchip ID, they sell them in batches. You can choose to microchip, but you'll have to contact your state agri department and get a scrapey tattoo, premises ID, and all of those things before they'll let you enter them. We'll record on your certificate both the tattoo that you've assigned to the goat and the microchip assigned, but the tattoo is not negotiable. We have to have a tattoo assigned to each and every animal that we register. Any questions about that? Okay, so the other thing on tattoo we get a lot is, well, how do I tattoo? There is some information here at the bottom of the page that tells you what you tattoo in the left ear, what you tattoo in the right ear. If you're like Brittany and I and you have La Manchas, or D, we all have La Manchas, we have to tattoo in the tail web. And so we're going to be tattooing here. There are tons of videos on YouTube that will show you how to do tattooing. You can buy the equipment from Tractor Supply. You can get it from Valley Vet, Premier Supply. There's another number of companies, but you can get the basic information that you need to know about tattooing right here off of the website. Any other thing that I might have missed, April, on that?
No, other than it's really important to get your membership, herd name, and tattoo before you jump to registrations, because you need those things in order to do registrations.
And without it, if you put in something, it's probably going to get hung up for a while we work through making sure that you're membership's active, your herd name's active, your tattoo's good, all that kind of thing. So one of the next questions that comes up quite a bit is our herd books and understanding our herd books. And I would say for new people, this is the most confusing. Goats are put into a herd book dependent upon their parentage and what percentage of that goat their parents were and what percentage. Do we know all the percentages of the breeds that are involved in it, that sort of thing. So experimental goats are F1s and F2s. These are primarily goats that have been bred, like an Adga Nubian has been bred to an Adga Nigerian. And now we've got our first experimental. It's an F1. It's a first generation mini. That's kind of how we think about that. So if I breed that F1 to another F1, I'm going to get F2. It's still going to be an experimental herd book. Then you've got the American herd book, which is for F3s through F5s. These goats are conforming more and more to what we're trying to create for a breed standard for a mini. And then purebred is F6 plus. And we're looking again at breed standards. We're looking at ears. We're looking to make sure that the noses look right, and the shape of the goat looks right. We do allow grade registrations. That's where we don't know who one of the parents is. We don't know if we don't have, it's an unpapered goat basically, but it's being bred to another mini so it can go into the grade herd book. Typically those goats are in the grade herd book for about three generations, mostly because we've got to get the percentage up under 10%. I get a lot of calls. I know April gets a lot of calls about grade goats and whether or not you can register a goat. One of the goats, one of the sire or the dam, one of them must be registered for us to even consider it. And it can't be a Nigerian dwarf. So it's got to be another mini. So that's a very common question we get. April, anything else on that? Okay. So on your grade goats, if you have a question about how that all plays out, we actually have a link on the grade herd book page. And this gives all the rules that we have an open grade herd book that allows you to bring in a goat where we don't know one of the parents. It gives the rules on which goats would fall in a grade herd book. But there's also this wonderful table here, and now we've got a chart that you can also download that you can just look and see if it was an Adga standard goat and I'm breeding it to a grade that's I don't know about, it's going to stay in the grade herd book. But if it's less than 10%, it might go to experimental. So this kind of gives you, this matrix helps us figure out where a goat's going to land in our herd books based off of the parentage of the sire and the dam. I know all of this is very confusing, but if you're brand new to it, but this will really help you if you kind of dig into it and try to wrap your mind around it. We do not recognize goats as native on appearance. I know that there are other registries that do. Our policy is if we have to know that one of the parents was a mini for us to register the goat. We don't accept animals unregistered native on appearance unless we know one of the parents, the history of one of the parentage. We do recognize ADGA. We recognize AGS. We recognize TMGR, IGCR, I think, or ICGR. There are a few registries we recognize. They're also listed in IDGR. They're also actually right here listed in our grade herd book. So we will take those. They have to be the copies of the certificates from them. We don't take a stamped duplicate saying that you've registered, you're attempting to register the goat. You actually have to have received the certificate for us to consider a foundation animal into our database. Questions on that? I feel like I just blew through that super fast. Okay, so then the other thing is when you go to register a goat, let's say I am registering my first F1 mini, okay? And I bred it to my Adga doe who is a full-bred La Mancha Adga, and I bred it to a Nigerian buck. That goat, both those goats, if they're registered by ADGA, I'm going to need to present copies of the ADGA certificates for both of those goats. So when I go to do my registration, I'm going to want to have a copy of the ADGA certificate for the doe and a copy of the ADGA certificate for the buck, because we'll have to enter those into our system as foundation animals to register the new F1 goat. So go ahead, April.
Plus, it needs to be in your ownership. So that's the reason we need to see the full certificate to make sure that you have ownership of that animal.
Or a service memo showing that you had that animal serviced by somebody else. Okay. So that's kind of our preliminary. That's kind of walking us through the very beginning of some of the minutia that's behind registration. I'm going to let April take this over, and she's going to walk us through a couple of registrations. Before I do that, though, I do want to show you one more thing on our website. If you go to the registration page, and this is the registration guidelines right at the top, it tells some basics that we've already talked about. But there are two amazing infographics on here that a lot of work have gone into. This one on the right side is how to take photos, and it's primarily geared towards Nubian, but it's good for all of our goats. It shows that we want a straight on face picture. We need a profile of the head of the goat, and that we're looking, for the rest of us, not ear length, but we want a full body shot of the goat as well. Nubians have to submit 4 pictures, but most of the other breeds, it's only 3. You want to have your pictures already before you start registration, because once you're in the registration app, you can't leave it and come back. So make sure that you've gotten your pictures beforehand, which to me is the hardest thing about registration, is getting the pictures. The infographic next to it is one that we spent a lot of time on, and it helps you know what you're going to need before you do your registration. So basically it asks, the first question is, did you own the sire? Then did you own the dam? And then you find the combination of answers that's true for you. And then it's going to tell you everything that you're going to need before you start the registration on that goat. So if I own the sire and the dam, I'm just going to need to pay my registration. I'm going to need copies of any certificates for the sire and the dam if they're not registered with MDGA. I'm going to have my photos, and then it tells me how the naming structure is going to work. If I own the sire and dam, then I can use my herd name plus the goat's name, and then the tattoo, my tattoo. If I didn't own the sire and I own the dam, then, that's like scenario 3. We're going to have a service memo, and that's going to be an additional thing that I'll have to have in my hand. You can submit without those things, but if you do, your goat is going to go on hold while we email you back and forth to try to get the additional documents we need. So to help things go as quickly as possible, these lists get you prepared for what you're going to have. I want to just show you one other thing here. So if you don't have your photos at the time of doing the registration, but you've got everything else, you can email the photos to us. It goes to a photo dump account that we have. So make sure that you put the subject line, the name of the goat that you're trying to register, so that it makes it easy for us to find the photos that go with that goat. But if you kind of follow what we've given you in terms of the aid, you should be okay to upload everything all at the same time. And with that, I'm turning it over to April.
Actually, can you pull back up the 2 tabs that the registration? Yep, that one. I would highly suggest almost every time I'm on the phone with a member, I get them to this page and I ask them to favorite it. It's something that you can come back to so frequently, and it will help you almost answer any question on what you have for any registration. So this is a great tab to favorite, and so is the Angelia, if you could flip back over to the tab with the, yes, that one. These two pages are very important and can really answer a lot of questions. So we're going to go ahead and actually do it. Angelia, can you? Oh, you want? Okay.
I'm gonna let you do it.
That's fine. Nope. Okay, it says I'm not allowed to share my screen.
Oh, well, that's nice. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can fix that. Every time we think we've got these things worked out. Okay, now try.
Perfect. Are we seeing that?
Yep.
The registration page. Okay, so when you're ready to do your registration, you're going to go in. It's actually going to have you pay first. So you would go through that, select how many registrations, how many transfers you have, and then once you submit your payment, then it's going to bring you to this page. Once you get to this page, you want to make sure you have everything that you need in front of you because it will time out. So you want to have your photos ready. You want to have the application if you purchase the animal from a breeder, your service memos, any of the supporting documents, the ADGA certificates, anything such as that. So the very first question at the top is, am I the breeder registering this animal for this first time, or I purchased this animal from a breeder and I am registering it? So we are going to, what most of the new members are doing is they just purchased animals from breeders and they're trying to register their goats. So we're going to select the second one here. And this is where you would upload the copy of the application that the breeder should have supplied you. That should be the paper application that they would give you at the time of purchase. And everything on that form should be filled out and complete, and you would upload it here. So I'm going to go ahead and upload my application. Okay, so I did that, and now I'm going to use that application to type in all the information that the breeder gave me. So I am purchasing an animal, and I am going to use, I'm going to look up the sire right now. You do not have to put in the exact full name when you're doing the data search. You can just pick a part of the name. And the buck that I'm looking for is Echo Hills Jericho. So I just typed in Jericho, and then it's going to bring me anything that has that name in. And right there is the buck I'm looking for. And the reason why I show you to only put in a partial of the name is if you see how Echo Hills has an apostrophe S. Sometimes our database doesn't like apostrophes. So I will just put in the name of, Mohawk Jericho or whatever have you. So there it selected him. Was the sire released? No. who was the owner of the sire at breeding. And here I'm going to put the owner. Cindy, I'm going to pick on you and put you in here. And now we're going to go down to the dam. So here we're going to put the dam's name in. And this dam's name is Little Bit of Heavens. And I know it's Teeter. So I'm going to type in Teeter and do the drop down. And oh, yep, that's Teeter. So then we have her registration. Everything is selected there.
April, let me interrupt real quick.
Sure.
You guys, the drop downs, you're not seeing those pull down, but you're seeing her pick. Once she picks it, it's filling it in.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay. That's okay. I just want to make sure they know that.
And as we go through here, you're noticing that there's red stars. So anytime there's something red, the application will not submit unless you have done something for that field. A lot of people call saying, I think my application went through, I'm not sure, it just kept spinning. And most of the times they missed one of these yes/no questions. So make sure, even if you're not positive of the answer, you just answer the question, because you can give us a call or send us an email saying, you know, I'm not sure what this was supposed to be, but it will not let you submit it unless you have all of the answers questioned. So we're going to put here that Cindy was the owner of the dam. And now we're down to the goat's name. So I purchased this goat from Cindy. I have to use the herd name that she put on her application. I cannot change it to mine. It has to be hers. So I am going to put her herd name is Cindy's Goats. And the goat name here is Haley. Okay, so then we're going to select the breed. We're going to say Mini Nubian and the variety. If you're unsure of the variety, it is not one of the red checked marked boxes. However, it should be on the form that your breeder filled out. So double check the form. You're literally copying everything that's on the form that the breeder submitted or gave you. So I'm going to copy everything that Cindy had on this form. And she's a female, and the date of birth is going to be January 28th of 2025. The reason why the breeder needs to fill out this form for you and complete is because you wouldn't know possibly the size of the litter. So they need to give you all of that information. So now we're down to the tattoo location. Again, that's something that the breeder needs to fill out for you. It's a good method and reminder that if you're at a home purchasing a goat, before you leave the property with the goat and the paperwork, you want to make sure that that's filled out and complete. Because when you get home to do that registration, if the tattoo is blank, then it's going to put your registration on hold until we can circle around and get with your breeder to figure out what it was supposed to be. So this, I'm just putting in, this was Cindy's tattoo that she had. On the paperwork, did she have a microchip? No. The horn type, disputed. She was disputed. Her ear type. This one is not a starred one either. A lot of people don't understand the difference between these, and that's okay. You can leave it blank or you can fill it in. Again, whatever the breeder put on the paperwork is fine. So I'm just going to put same as the description. That confuses a lot of folks. However, we will help you out with anything that is not correct or if it was left blank by the breeder and you're unsure. So now we're at the uploaded documents. This is where you would upload the photos of the goat, So you would grab your photos that you needed. And I want to mention something here is if you, the photos need to be within 90 days of the application submitted. So if you're registering a goat that's a year old, you really can't send us photos that are, let's say, from 3 months old. We really need something more representative of what the goat is being near registration. So now we're going to go down to the born on the property of, and that should be your breeder. Brittany and JC, if you have any questions, please let us know as we're going through this. Again, the breeder's name. Okay, so now we get to the owner section. Is the current owner the breeder? No. I purchased this goat, so this is where I would put my name. And then we have the option to have it mailed to, we want to have it mailed to ourselves. If you're filling this out for a buyer, and at the very top, then you would have selected, I am the breeder filling, I'm going to scroll to the top so you can see that. I am the breeder and I'm registering this animal for the first time. You can still, down at the bottom, select who you sold it to, and it can be mailed straight to them. So that's an option for you. That would include a transfer, just like myself purchasing the goat as to Cindy. Anytime a goat is moved from a property, there's a transfer fee. And the date sold on this girl is, there we go. And the applicant. So a lot of times that brings up questions. And the applicant is who is actually filling out this form. So if Brittany was filling out the form for one of her buyers, she would put herself in there as the applicant. Now, I'm filling this out for myself for a goat that I purchased. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my name. But that lets us know who we need to contact when we have questions.
Just a side note where April's at right now. If someone's a pending member, they can still fill this out and they can just put in 9999 and put a note at the bottom that they've applied for membership.
Sure. I always ask everyone to put notes in this bottom here. If you have your membership pending, if you are emailing photos, you can type that down here. I'm just going to type in there emailing photos. And then, of course, where you want the certificate to be mailed to. And that is about it. And then at the bottom, you just want to make sure that you clicked all the buttons, that you're not a robot, and to submit. And you want to double check. You want to go back through, make sure you selected the right dam, the right sire before things are submitted, because most likely we are trying to touch each application within just a few days. So if something was input incorrectly and we didn't hear from you for about a week, then we already started the process.
Yeah, and don't feel bad about contact. I mean, we have people contact all the time. I picked the wrong dam. I picked the wrong sire.
Several times a day. Yeah.
Today I uploaded the wrong pictures to the wrong goat. I mean, we had that happen. People make mistakes, and that's fine. Don't feel bad about contacting us.
Right. I think we had a question. Can you see what that was?
Brittany says, if microchips are added, can that be updated on the registration at a later date?
Absolutely. So that's back where you want to, that was the other screen, actually, Angelia. I wanted to show everyone to favorite was the forms page on the website. So I'm done here. Can you flip back over
Sure,
to that?
sure. Can you release it for me?
Yep.
You wanted me to go to the forms page. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. So it's right here at the top. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I got super happy and
yes. So this form is the other one that you want to favorite, because anything that you want to do, if you want to request a new copy because something was lost, if you want to, let's see, for Brittany, she's going to go down to replace certificate request and click that once. And then it's going to give her an option to update the certificate. So that would be an update because you're adding information to it.
And when you get, I'm going to see if I can do, I don't have on account on here, but when you get to that place, it's going to say, why are you asking for a replacement certificate? And you just tell us that it's to add the microchip, and you can provide that information to us on a certificate, and we'll do that for you.
Correct. Can you go back to the forms page?
Sure.
Okay, so the other items I want to point out here is the registration application paper, not the online one, that form. So the reason why you want to favorite this page is because it's so often when you're going to sell animals, you need to print this form out and fill it out and complete for your buyers. So that is the form that we would have been going by line to copy to do the registration online.
JC's asked, would the replacement certificate work if you do DNA testing through MDGA? Yes, it will actually show up. I'm gonna pull up a registration. I think I've got over here, a transfer. Let me see, it's over here. It would show up on your certificate up here in this corner, top right-hand corner. If we update for genetic testing, it would be there. Any other questions about registration?
So then we want to pop over to transfers. If you want to pull that certificate back up. So transfers are when you purchased an animal and you actually have a certificate in hand. And you see the bottom of this was filled out by the buyer and seller, and it was filled out and signed, and a sale date, I believe, there. And then what you would want to do is go ahead and mail that to our address that's located on the main page of the website.
So if you go to the transfer page on here, there's a place for intent to transfer, but you'll see the mailing address is up here in the gray box where that needs to get mailed to, and it needs to be the original certificate. You can send copies of the bill of sale if you choose to, but we don't require that unless the bottom is not completely filled out.
So that that sums up.
So the other one thing I wanted to cover was dual registrations. Sometimes we have a sister registration organization for many TMGR. Some people want to dual register their Nigerians that are with ADGA. Those dual registrations are actually going to be done just like if you were doing a brand new goat, because that goat may or may not be in our system or have ever been in our system before. So if you want to have your goats registered with MDGA and another registering organization, you need to do it on the registration page, not as a transfer. Make sense? It's new to us.
And then we would need, when you fill out that online app registration, you would need to upload a copy of that dual registration. Say it was from TMGR or ADGA for a Nigerian. You would just upload the copy of the certificate right with the photos of the goat.
So that's pretty much what we have for you guys tonight. Are there any questions? We actually have a board member on here with us, Dee Daniels, and if Dee has anything she'd like to add, I'd certainly love that. But any questions, please feel free to ask, because we really want to make sure we're giving you as clean a picture as we can of what the process is like.
I do have, this is Dee, I do have one comment, and it goes back to the bookmarking of the paper application. Not only is that a good thing to bookmark, but it's also good to print it out and fill it out for your own goats, not just for the ones that you're going to sell. Because I do a paper application on all of my kids so that when I get down in time to sit down at the computer, I've got everything right there in front of me without hunting and digging and searching and looking. And so that's my tip for the day.
That's a good point. So Brittany asked, is there a public database of tattoos to help us save your time? We haven't selected a tattoo yet. There is not a public listing of the tattoos. Brittany, it's why we ask you to give us 3 options, but feel free to reach out to me. I do customer service for the organization as well. And sometimes I'll just sit on the phone with somebody and we'll try 2 or 3 different scenarios to find something that will work. The hardest thing for us on tattoos is typically if you want to use your ADGA tattoo with us. If it's already taken, my hands are pretty much tied. And so if you want ABC for a tattoo and ABC is taken, but that's your ADGA one, sometimes the best we can do is make your tattoo ABC1 or ABCX or something like that. But yeah, feel free to reach out and we'll see what we can find for you.
And with
Also,
that,
I also have a comment about the tattoos. If you're breeding mini La Manchas, try not to use more than 3 letters.
Exactly.
I have a lot of people that contact me and they're like, how am I supposed to put all these letters in this little bitty tail? So 3 is about the max for babies.
Yeah. April, you were going to say something?
yeah, once you complete your membership and you have your herd name and tattoo, you'll get an email back from membership, and it will be a nice little welcome letter with your herd name and your tattoo. That's something you're going to want to star in your email or print it out and have a couple copies of, because it's something that you're going to want to revisit. You only tattoo once a year. You only register goats typically once a year, the kids that are born, but so it's easy to forget. And then of course you can always call if you have questions, but that's a great thing to make sure that you save in your email when you receive it.
And just as a reminder, if you go on our website at the bottom, it gives you what the tattoo letter is for the year. So if you'll see here, the letter for 2025 is T. So in the left ear, I'm saying that right? I always get them backwards.
In the right ear.
Right ear, yes. It's going to be the letter for kids that are born this year. It would be the letter T followed by the number of the kid is born on your farm that year. Say that right. So if I had 10 kids born on my farm and I'm registering number 8, it would be T8 for that kid.
And yeah, you're correct. That would be the left ear.
Yeah. So yeah. Anything else? One other note about herd names. Remember, if you haven't gotten your herd name yet, the longer you make your herd name, the shorter the goat's name has to be. So if I name make my herd name, It's a Wonderful Life for Goats, I'm going to be naming all my goats Joe, Sue, Pam, Tim, because I'm not going to have, the max is 35 letters. So you want to be concise with your herd name if you can, so that you have room to be colorful and inventive with your goats' names. I think yours is like a Bucks Creek, right? So she's using maybe 10, 11 letters. That gives her a lot of room to play with names.
And just an FYI, I've changed my herd name about 3 times because nobody told me that in the beginning. So my herd name originally was Buck Creek Stables, and I had some really short names. So it's morphed over the years into Buck Creek.
Yeah. So yeah, mine's Feather Hoof and Hive, and I just changed it when we moved to Alden House. So it's like all one word. So, all right. So I think this recording's gone pretty well. The hope is we can put it up on the internet sometime in the next 2 days. And if you guys have any questions, again, at the very beginning of this, you have mine and April's information. Feel free to reach out to us and ask questions, and maybe send it to me first so April can keep working on registrations. So, well, it's great talking with all of you, and I hope this has been helpful. JC, you got something? Nope. Okay. Y'all have a good evening.